Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce myself, Allison Brocco, and my team members, Katie Miranda and Nicholas Rizzo, as Raise the Bar Incorporated. Over the course of this project, we have identified the key performance dimensions that correspond with success as a graduate student within the MPS program at George Mason University. In the coming presentation, we will discuss the formal steps taken to develop a behaviorally anchored rating scale and the adaptations we have made to these steps in order to tailor the process to the needs of this assignment. In crafting a traditional behaviorally anchored rating scale, or bars, the first step of the process is to generate the critical incidents upon which employees will be rated. This is typically done by consulting subject matter experts, otherwise known as SMEs, from the field. They are questioned about specific behaviors, results, and scenarios which contribute to success in the position in question. According to Kell et al. In 2017, an appropriate number of critical incidents generated should be several hundred. The critical incidents should not only focus on the extremes of high performance and low performance, but also include adequate performance examples. While this is how the process is typically started, we have elected to take some liberties in developing our own critical incidents for the role of MPS student. As our resources are scarce and time is limited for this project, we have chosen to use ourselves as SMEs, as well as lobbying for our peers' participation in our cohort group message. We acted as our own SMEs to develop the original list of critical incidents, which included both actual and hypothetical critical incidents. All critical incidents were later evaluated and edited. The original list developed came to 105, 30 for good performance, 30 for minimum performance, and 45 for poor performance. Another shortcut we have taken can be seen in our lower than average number of critical incidents, as again, we were very limited on time.
According to Kell et al., the next step for another group of SMEs to review the critical incidents for any overlap or duplication of critical incidents, as well as to uncover any themes among the incidents. Once themes are identified, the subject matter experts can clearly outline the performance dimension. We each participated in all steps of this project. In total, we compiled a list of 105 critical incidents. In this step, as a group, we first reviewed all critical incidents for redundancy and eliminated or combined similar critical incidents. We also edited for clarity and accuracy. The final list of critical incidents developed to share with the outside subject matter experts came to 48, with 15 for good performance, 11 for minimum performance, and 22 for poor performance. Our list of critical incidents is lower than what would generally be considered best practice due to time constraints and a limited number of subject matter experts to compile the initial list. All analysis steps of the BARS development process, as advised by Campion et al. And Green et al., were used, including creating critical incidents, evaluating effectiveness, and categorizing the performance dimensions. Due to time constraints, our group served as the SMEs for both steps, which limits the robustness of the analysis. Independently, we identified performance dimensions for each critical incident and created the following list. Attendance, being present at required or supplementary meetings. Attention to detail, thoroughly and accurately tending to all facets of a task. Communication, the act of exchanging both expressive and receptive information. Emotional regulation, the control one has over their own emotional state of being. Flexibility, which is the ability to change tasks, ideas, and/or direction in order to effectively meet the demands of a given situation. Follow through, seeing a task through to its end state or conclusion. Initiative, which is the ability and practice of starting a task of one's own volition. Planning, which is forecasting or anticipating upcoming needs, events, challenges, and other ideas. Problem solving, which is identifying complex problems and reviewing related information to develop and evaluate options and implement solutions. Teamwork, which is working and collaborating with others to achieve an end goal. And finally, time management, which is managing one's own time and the time of others. At this point, we compiled our list of critical incidents and dimensions into an online survey in lieu of conducting interviews. Each critical incident was rated on a 5-point Likert scale ranging from unacceptable to exceptional, with meets expectation as the center weight. A follow-up prompt asked reviewers to select dimensions that apply to the critical incident. Reviewers were able to select as many from the defined performance dimensions as they felt were applicable and had an option to include an undefined one. The other selection was only used one time. Best practice, as outlined by Campion et al. And Klieger et al., would have a new set of SMEs review the critical incidents and arrange them into predetermined categories. Because of time limits and the limited number of subject matter experts available to us, we requested that our peer group review, rate, and assign performance dimensions to each critical incident. We also offered it to other people in our cohort and included our own ratings to increase the number of subject matter experts. Understanding which critical incidents to keep and which to discard is important to having high-quality critical incidents. Campbell et al. And Kell et al. Recommend a large number of subject matter experts in agreement per critical incident to consider it for inclusion in a behaviorally anchored rating scale. Because of our limited number of subject matter experts, we chose to go with a simple majority and selected those critical incidents of which a simple majority of subject matter experts agreed met two specific performance dimensions, planning and communication. This left us with 6 critical incidents in total.
Okay, so I'm going to read off the steps of how we got there and how we created our 6 final anchored rating scale. Bernadine et al. Suggest another group of subject matter experts be consulted to rate critical incidents based on effectiveness. The rating scale was on a 5-point Likert scale ranging from unacceptable to exceptional. Alternatively, when resources are scarce and fewer SME groups are available, the same SMEs may be called upon to perform multiple tasks. Often this entails the same group of SMEs rating and retranslating critical incidents. The goal of rating the incidents is to find mean scores and standard deviations for each critical incident. If one particular incident deviates greatly, it was removed from consideration for bars. We had 7 subject matter experts who assigned a score to each of the 48 critical incidents. We then calculated a mean and standard deviation for each one to determine the overall level of performance for each critical incident. So finding our dimensions of success. Based on all of the responses from the subject matter experts, we selected the 2 dimensions that predominantly were chosen as representative of each critical incident. These 2 were selected due to the frequency in their responses among all the critical incidents. There were 11 dimensions in total that were chosen from, with options to select other. The final 2 dimensions that were chosen were planning and communication. Planning being forecasting or anticipating upcoming needs, events, challenges. Communication being the act of exchanging both expressive and receptive information. So Georganta and Broadbeck et al. Suggest standard deviation across team adaptation phases ranges from 0.98 to 1.3. As expected using a 5-point rating scale. All of the standard deviations of the kept critical incidents were well within this range across raters. Even with the potential for leniency, as suggested in Campbell et al., retained incidents with standard deviations as high as 1.5 on a 7-point scale. So the standard deviation found within our 5-point scale was well within the acceptable range. Our team then found means for each respective critical incident in order to determine where they would fall on the final bars scale. Based on outlines of standard deviation in the literature, our team decided to define poor performance as earning a ratio from 1 to 2, minimum performance with a rating of 2.01 to 3.99, and exceptional being 4.0 to 5. This rating scale also mimics a standard distribution, with 60% of the ratings being considered minimum performance. Each critical incident was reviewed to determine which two dimensions were predominantly chosen to represent performance in general.
After critical incidents are identified, evaluated, and reformed, they may be then used to develop the finalized version of the behaviorally anchored rating scale. The critical incidents which have performed best through the stages of this development are then compiled into a survey format in which the rater will score the ratee on their performance of each. In the development of a typical professional use bars, the abundance of critical incidents developed in step 1 will allow for more discrimination in determining which incidents make it past steps 4 and 6. The final number of critical incidents retained was 6 after the elimination of 99. This graphic displays our 6 final critical incidents. After analyzing the ratings of our SMEs, we have categorized each on their performance level between poor, which earned a rating of 1.0 to 2.0, minimum performance with a rating of 2.01 to 3.99, and exceptional being between 4.0 to 5.0. The poor performance critical incidents include: student does not notify their group members that they will be missing a meeting for the weekly assignment with a rating of 1.14, and student does not communicate with their team regarding barriers in completing their portion of a group assignment until their regularly scheduled meeting with a rating of 1.57. The minimum performance critical incidents include: student calendars scheduled meetings with their group, and student reaches out to their success coach prior to the start of the semester to create a plan to re-enter school after taking medical leave, earning ratings of 3.4 and 3.71, respectively. The exceptional performance incidents were: student volunteers for tasks in a group assignment based on identified strengths and weaknesses, earning a rating of 4.0, and student creates a schedule of meetings to put on their calendar and shares the calendar invite with their group with a rating of 4.28. Based on these behaviors, we believe an MPS student can gauge their current performance at a glance. This can help provide support and direction for improving behaviors in connection with this program. Thank you for your consideration of this bars.